Hello, welcome back to Otter Pop Culture. Today we're going over the LA-based singer called Remi Wolf and her debut album called Juno. So I have followed this person for pretty much. She came out in 2019. And I followed her in that little space because I listened to Sauce and I really, really liked Sauce. And I was like, okay, I really like that. I need to get to more of her other stuff. And I had one of the other, who was it? It was one of the YouTubers who also does reviews. He also was talking about it too. And he's like, if you don't know this person, you should really get into them. They're really amazing. She's really amazing. She has a great voice and really great music. So I was like, okay, well, I feel like it's more confirming that I need to keep going with her. So I did. And basically every single song that she has put out has been a song I've liked pretty much. And she released two EPs with You're a Dog, I'm Allergic to Dogs, and then a remix album called We Love Dogs. And that one came out recently, maybe like a couple months ago. And since then, she was kind of reviewing, doing her actual like singles for the album. And those start coming out, and basically she kind of did half of this album as singles, and then the rest of them kind of kept it to herself. So I'm so excited to have this released, have this here, and I'm so happy because she's one of the people that like I was waiting for an album, just waiting, and that's how good her music is. So one thing I didn't really realize when it comes to her music is that she kind of sings a lot of random stuff and a lot of metaphors, and she does go kind of fast with some of her songs. So I didn't really lean too much into the actual lyrics, so I didn't really know that there is actually, in the midst of a happy beat in a very like sick production, like there is sometimes like not sad, but like kind of sad, like tones and topics that she's talking about. So it's kind of interesting because you don't really feel it's very Sublime or Hey Ya by Outkast, where you're just like you dancing to it. You're like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, it's that what's that about? Oh, this is kind of sad. So let me go through the album. I pretty much started all the songs, except for maybe one, but that was barely just because I was still kind of processing it, but I think I'm going to start it again. But I'm going to go through all the album and talk about the songs I like and what the meaning behind stuff. So basically, this album has a handful of things about alcoholism, her alcohol addiction, and just habits and relationships that seem to fail, and mixed with her kind of putting up a guard because of all those things, whether it's her that did it or the person that did it. So over time, her trust over people kind of gets smaller and smaller, but you can tell that she still wants love and she still wants to be in that vicinity of romance, but she knows that in that space, she has a lot of trust issues in that direction. So we're going to go into some of the pieces. Some of the songs have nothing to do with anything. They're just really fun songs. And I feel like I love that too. We'll talk about that. So, Liquor Store is the first song, and it's the first single to this album. I love this song. It's so catchy. It's pretty much talking about her fear of abandonment and her dependency on people, including, which equals and associates with her alcoholism or her alcohol addiction. So because of all of these things that she's dealing with, alcohol seems to be the direction that she used to lean into to kind of help her cope and help her get past all these things and all these feelings that she has. But unfortunately, it seems like it just made it worse. So she says in this one, she's like, you can go if you want to, but you know that my mind will be walking walking a tightrope because you like having sex like an animal, and I keep thinking that you're running away. And that piece I feel like that piece is about her abandonment, and then it goes into in one of the verses where she says clean them up with a mop in a liquor store. At first I thought it was bad. I thought it was like weird. I was like, you mean a mop in a liquor store, not and a liquor store? But I think the idea was more of she's trying to clean up all the mess that she's dealing with pieces of doing what she needs to, what could be more healthier direction, but at the same time, she's also using liquor as a way to kind of help with that direction. I would like to point out that she wrote this song 4 months after getting sober, so she's sober now, from alcohol. But yeah, so I like that song, and I really love the sound. I listened to it a good handful of times. Going into the next song, which is the sixth single, which is Anthony Kiedis. This one production, I love it. I love it. It's actually one of the songs I try to avoid listening to all the singles that she was putting out, because I thought it was like, I feel like this is all going to be on the album, so I'll listen to like maybe a couple of them and then leave the rest for the full on album experience, and this is one of them. I love the na na nas in it. I feel like it's a great transition to the next thing. This one pretty much talks about the idea of the pandemic, and with a mixture between being famous and what it costs and everything. So she says, well, the pandemic part is just everything, everything shut down. I don't have friends anymore. And then it goes into my trapeze swinging sideways because I get what I want and it costs me a lot. Put my head in the hole of a guillotine chop. So it's pretty much in the direction. It's just like she feels like she's getting what she wants in this direction of being famous and making music and doing what she loves, but there seems to be some type of trick to it, and there's some type of like flip side to it that she can feel happening, and she's like, okay, I feel like I'm kind of putting myself out there to sink or float, and we'll definitely see what happens, kind of thing. Going into the next one pretty much is YD or WYD. This one pretty much talks about her kind of being with the mixture between validation, needing people, kind of making her feel like she needs validation by buying a lot of money and being super bougie, and then having all these girls and taking them out to all, then like dating them and taking them out to like different places and buying them all this shit. And she feels like, as she says, I don't need your validation because I got me and medication. So, and I feel like in this one, it's pretty much talking about that. And I didn't start this at first, but I think I do like it more now that I sat with it. I do like the ahs that go into Gorilla, which is one of the best songs off this album. It's the fourth single to this album. I love the production. I love the chaoticness of just being smooth and everything for a minute, and then it just completely explodes into kind of thing. And it makes it, I don't know, it just feels like she knows, and her band kind of knows how to feel, how to give you the feel of what she wants the song to be, and she's not afraid to kind of be weird with the sounds and everything, and I really like that. I feel like it adds more depth to the song. The next song, Quiet on Set, second single to this album. This one is very, very random in the most best way. There's so many things that she talks about, has nothing to do with anything. This is one of those songs. But I like her verses. So she'll say, I want to protect my energy. Don't got time for the frenemies. Eat my ass like the human centipede. And then it goes into, it's completely about nothing. But I love it. And then it says, orgy at 5 guys with 5 guys. Then that's 10 guys. And holy Christ, I've never seen more nuts in my life. Nodding to the direction of pretty much 5 guys, they serve peanuts. And with it's kind of a double hitter in that direction. Going to the next one, which is Volcano. This one is Volcano. This one is talking about kind of getting over a breakup. So after all that fun, we're still pieces that's going into it to remind you, is like, I still got like some shit that's gonna fuck with you a little bit while you're loving the beat and you're loving how I sing, kind of thing. So this one talks about pretty much just getting over a breakup, and she's talking about this, what's the one that kind of kicks it off? And she's kind of just talking about the direction of just kind of like after he left, she's kind of just dealing with it and going back and forth between like feeling anxious over it, then also feeling better about it. She says I'm trying to clear my head, or one of these lines that just fun to me is trying to clear my head by balancing on a ballerina bars and that's a ballerina bar. I pack it, then ferment it in a mason jar. It sounds cooler when she says it. But yeah, I like that part. I love the thought myself in circles about to flip from public to private. Um, and then she says, when he left, I was weak. I wasn't leaving my bed. Now I'm free. I'm a go-go dancer. I'm a freak. I know every answer. So it seems like once again, it feels like that complete back and forth between like, I'm okay. I'm not okay. I'm okay. I'm not okay. And which is, we've all been there in that situation. Going into the next song, which is Front Tooth. This one talked about fame and how it's not exactly how she expected. And she says that. She says, this still doesn't feel like quite what it's supposed to. Yeah, feels like a Conor McGregor fight, kicking out my front tooth. He's a USC fighter. So this one pretty much talks about that. She's like, the fame is just different from what she expects. And so all these things that she's seeing feels like it's like kind of taking a hit by like, oh, I didn't know that was another thing that I had to think about. Oh, this is another thing. Like, it's a lot of things that I didn't think had to be a thing, but I guess it is. That's the final single to this album. Going to the next one, this one is Grumpy Old Man. Now, I did not touch this one, even though it was a single. I'm happy I didn't because it fits nicely into this album. This one talks about her difficulties with relationships and how I said earlier how she's like kind of put up a wall because of the back and forth of relationship being whether it's her fault or the other person's fault or whatever. So she's kind of conscious. She's very like delicate about it now. And she talks about how she's very defensive. She's like, I'm so defensive. I got eggshells on my doorstep and I don't give second chances easily. And she's like, I love romance, but I got eggshells around. So there's a whole thing where she's like kind of, there's a lot of thoughts that she doesn't really tolerate a lot of things now that she's been in those kind of relationships. And I don't really know if this means anything, but I'll say it and kind of think about it as I'm saying it. She's in the chorus. She says, I got long hair, long beard, turtleneck sweater. You got short hair, short beard. Nothing feels better than me and you and me and me. It feels like it's so weird, but I love it. And I feel like in this direction, it seems like she's comparing, she likes this person, but she is still kind of comparing small things that could wreck the relationships or see if any difference that they have that could damage the relationship pretty much. Going into the next one, or side note, which is those things don't matter, but I think that's just her pronouncing how much delicate she uses, and how hurt and how much walls are in front of her letting somebody in. So she's very picky. She gets very picky with certain things like that. Going into the next one is Buttermilk. This one probably talks about a hot and cold kind of relationship, pretty much talking about how it seems like one moment they're good, another moment they're completely out of control, and it's had this kind of beat that reminds me of Kanye in a weird way, and it's just really nice. I love the sound. I love it's different from the other sounds that's been on this album. Once again, adds more depth. This part that she says, she's like, milk, butter, milk, butter, milk, butter. 1 second we're good, then it's overkill. You pull me out of the gutter, then throw me into lava. Going in circles, hot potato pain. So it's pretty much just like, it's like this person's hurt. He toss the potato to them, and it still hurts because it's hot potato. And I think the metaphor is more of the idea, it's just like, it's problem without problem with problem with problem with problem, back and forth kind of thing. And it's your fault today, it's my fault next day, and then it's just back and forth, kind of hot and cold. Going to the next one, which is Sally. This one talks about pretty much her just waiting for this Sally to get home, and I think the idea is that it's either two things. Either she's waiting for Sally to come over, and every time she does come over, she always come over super late because she's out partying or doing whatever that Remi doesn't really know, but she's sick of kind of waiting for her all the time and just getting to that point. She's like, ugh, every single time. And so she'll say, like, you were just a premonition showing up late as I turned off the lights. Pretty much she was ready to go to bed as Sally shows up, just like probably in the same energy of like, hey, ready to hang out. She's like, no, you're supposed to be here like 3 hours ago or whatever. But the part I didn't really get was sleeping in the Toyota, feeling feet are getting colder, blasting bossa nova. And I feel like in that direction, and maybe I don't know who's sleeping in Toyota. Maybe she is in the direction of I sleep out. I maybe she's stalking her and like or following her to where she goes and kind of sleeping there, whatever. I don't really know. I'm still breaking that down. Going into the next one, which is a really fun one, which is called Sexy Villain. This one talks about pretty much it's just her being a killer and killing off guys and also having guys over. And it's kind of just a silly song. She says, he's a keeper, big believer, long as he doesn't check the freezer. And it goes into high libido, cheating on Chester, fucking with the Fritos. Doesn't really mean much, but I like that kind of feeling, or that lyric. Then it goes, I'm cool with the fighting, cool with the scratching and the biting. And I feel like that one's kind of a nod to how she's a killer. So these people are clawing and trying to get away from her. And she's like, yeah, it sounds great. This is great. I'm a killer. This is fun to me. It actually, the fighting actually excites her. And then it goes into like, I love this part. It was a tippy toe kind of thing. I love that direction because it's kind of, it adds more visuals of thinking of her kind of quietly sticking around to like kill people and everything, and I love that. Buzz Me In talks about her seeing a love interest, even though the love is very unreliable and not really seeing a future in it, but she still comes back and she says, we can dance around it and lie. Tell me pigs fly. Or tell me pigs can fly. Say you'll always be mine. And then she goes, baby, tell me I don't want to have control because I don't really know me anymore. So it seems like she is in a space where she knows this is toxic, or she knows that this is not going anywhere, but she's just like, whatever, until it actually falls apart. Then I'll just keep coming back until whatever disaster happens that really hits it hard, even though the hints are getting air in her face. Going into the last song, which ends on another piece of just heartbreak. This one is Street That You Live On. This one talks about avoiding her ex's street and doing whatever to the point where she has to find different routes to get to a store. So I'm thinking that maybe they live near each other, but they might go to the same store, but she has to go through that street to get to that store. So now she's finding different routes to get to the store without having to go to that street, with the idea of maybe even seeing this person. She goes, and this kind of adds more to it, which is, I'm a paper map, rerouting different ways to get to the store. And then she says, and you were never lying when you said that you would go quietly. I am an empty drawer, not borrowing your socks anymore. Kind of feeling everything of just like, oh, these things are not happening anymore. I think that she was expecting this kind of explosion of a breakup, or explosion of kind of like him transitioning from her house to his own place kind of thing, but it didn't happen. Everything went pretty smoothly. And I think that kind of bugged her a bit. So yeah, I really, really like this album. I give it a 10 out of 10, like completely, because I think it's just that amazing. I think that this is a great debut for her. I'm so excited, and I feel like every single song was amazing. I think that you shouldn't really sleep on her at all. I think you should really get into the album if you haven't already. I think it's really nice. Leave a comment below, tell me what you thought. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.